Hi everybody, it's Mary Rose Feldman. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher and an artist. Welcome to my studio for another class. And we're going to focus today on a tangle called Pais by Mikey Huber. We're going to work on a square regular Zentangle tile, but as I say often in these videos, please use whatever makes you happy. It can be a Zendala, it can be rectangle, it can be an official Zentangle tile or not. It could be in your journal. Anything you want, any supplies you want, please feel free to make this class your own. Hopefully it inspires you in some way and you can add your own style and flair and color and anything you want to add to it. It's really relaxed, gentle tangling. That's the goal of the class. And we're going to have maybe a little bit of fun. So what we're going to do first is have a moment of gratitude, honor our Zentangle practice and our gratitude and thankfulness. Have a good breath and an affirmation. We're going to practice the tangle. I'm going to show you the original step out as Mikey designed it, and then I'm going to show you the tangleation that we're going to do, or the variation that we're going to do with it. We'll practice that maybe a little bit. For the most part, we can go right to our tile, and it should be a nice, easy, gentle tangling breath for the class. So I'm going to invite you to just sit back and take a nice good breath in and a good exhale. You may pause the video and make this moment of gratitude as long or as short as you would like. I use this time to do a little bit of a body scan. Identify maybe some muscles that are tight, tense, sore. And I invite my body to relax on every exhale. Relax just a little bit more. The affirmation for today, for this class: I have a unique creative voice that the world needs. And you can have your own moment of gratitude. And whenever you are ready, you can open your eyes. So this is the affirmation card I pulled. I have an affirmation deck for tangling, and before all of my classes I shuffle it up and see which card comes to the surface, and this is what appeared for today. So, and we all do have a unique creative voice that is special. Okay, so let's practice our tangle. I'm just going to use a regular 05 pen. Let's brighten this up a little bit. Okay, and this is a tangle called Pais, P-A-I-S, and it is by Mikey Huber. And Pais works like this. It's a really fun tangle to play with. We're going to make a flux shape with a wiggle. And if you want to watch, you can see the pen stroke. It is literally a flux shape with a wiggle. And you can put as much wiggle as you want into it. That's a little bit much. But usually the point is it doesn't have to be a pristine line. And then what you're going to do is you're going to aura that line and come down and go right back up an aura. You can see I lightened up my wiggle a little bit. I went a little too aggressive on the first one. And notice how I'm going down and right back up, down and right back up, and then that center section we're going to color in. So by going down and right back up, notice the darkness I got in my stem. So it helps us with a little bit of line weight automatically. And for me, I like to keep my pen moving on this. So that's essentially the pen stroke, and Pais comes together by connecting these shapes maybe I'll do one here that's a little. So when I said wiggle in the first, for this first one, I was doing this. I probably misspoke on that. It's not so much a wiggle like that might be with Samson or other tangles. It's more of a wavy line. It's more like that. I'm just warming up for the day, so just described it a little bit incorrectly, but you get the idea. It's not meant to be an exact flux shape, and it's meant to have movement. And that's pretty much what these wiggly shapes are. And then I like to add orbs into some of the gaps, something like that. What helps this, I think, though, is when you come in with a thicker pen and you can outline that outer edge, so you can see how that defines the original shape. And you can do this with a thicker pen originally and then change pens. I usually like to just keep a thin pen in my hand and add all that line weight later. It helps me clean up my lines a little bit, and then sometimes I get a different inspiration. So that's essentially the Pais tangle, and you see them organically and in clusters and things like that. What we're going to do today, though, is we are going to make a string. Let me grab my pencil here. We're going to make a string with a pencil, and our string is going to be a large printemps. So that we'll do that on our tile. And we are going to make our Pais shapes riding this line. So something like that. And we're going to do it on both sides. And then we're going to fill in that space with orbs. So what you're going to get is kind of a spiral of Pais, which is really kind of fun. And we always forget that some of these tangles, we get locked into the direction or linear, whatever it might be. You can change it. You can try it in a curve or a grouping of some sort. So that's what we're going to end up doing. I'm going to grab my tile. This is my regular Zentangle tile. This is 3.5 inch square. You might be doing something different. And I don't think I said it on this video. I'm gonna tangle this at my own pace just to keep the video a little bit shorter. Please stop the video, pause the video so that you can enjoy your tangling pace, whether it's fast or slow, anything in between. It's all correct. And I want this to be a nice, gentle, free-form, relaxing, mindful session. And we all have different paces, so I'm just going to go on my own, and you can join in and pause however you need to. We are going to grab a pencil, and I'm going to come into my tile, and I'm going to make a large printemps shape. Notice the spacing. We want this to be large because we want to get big shapes in there. Then I'm going to grab my 05 pen, micron pen. Okay, so when I do something like this, I'm going to start at the tip. So eventually I'm going to walk, I call it walking the line, walk up the line. But the first thing I want to do at the end of this pencil tip, pencil edge, is put a Pais right there. And I'm just following the shape. Then I'm going to turn my tile and I'm going to put a Pais right here. Now remember, we're going to put Pais on both sides of this line. So I don't want to go all the way up to the line because I'm going to have shapes coming behind there. So I'm trying to just keep it a little bit more contained for the center. And I don't want to go too far. I want to do one on one side and then one on the other. This is my way of approaching it. You might have a different way of approaching it. I'm going to do another one that kind of goes this way because I'm going to turn the direction of these. So notice they were pointing that way, but I'm going to eventually want them pointing the other direction so that I can ride up. Nope, this one went really behind. So I'm just going to roll with that. You're going to end up with a lot of behind, drawing behind on this. And this is organic. So I just let it happen naturally. I'm not trying to pre-plan where things overlap. Okay, so now I'm going in the direction I want to go. So I'm going to use that string as a guide. So if you noticed when I took off with my pen, I rode that pencil line a little bit before I broke off. That's what I mean by riding the line. Same thing here. So I'm going to ride that pencil line and then I'm going to curve it, and this one's going to go way behind because we're in tight spaces right now. And then this one I'm going to ride that pencil line and then break off. Also notice when I do Pais, I don't necessarily try to aura exactly the wiggle of each line. I kind of let each aura have its own personality. I think it gives it a little bit more energy that way. But that's a personal preference and a personal style, so you can tangle it however you would like. You can see I'm getting really tight in here, but we're starting to come out of it. And now you can just, once you open up and get some space, you can settle into the rhythm of this. All of these are really drawing behind as I come around this corner. This one's going to be a little baby one. And if you have gaps, that's okay. We're going to come in and put orbs in the gaps. So most of the time I alternate one side versus the other. Occasionally I'll need to do two on one side. That's perfectly fine. Allow your spacing and your tile and your hand to identify the rhythm you want to tangle. Occasionally I'm getting just a regular flex shape, so I'm trying to be cautious about waving out that line, if that's even a term. Flex is one of my go-to tangles, so my hand really likes to draw that shape. This is a good tangle to help you loosen up your pen grip. If you have a really tight pen grip and you're trying to force your ink in precise lines, it's really going to change the look of this tangle. This one does much better with a looser pen grip and kind of an ease to it. An ease of imperfection. And sometimes for me to get that ease of imperfection, I will speed up my pen stroke. Not to rush, but just to get me out of that precise line work. So you could see I'm doing these auras a bit fast for my normal tangling, but the reason is because I don't want to get locked into a straight line. I'm getting along the edge, so some of these are going to go off the page. Okay, so my inner curve is getting a little messy, so I'm going to leave a gap for this one, and I'm going to let myself come back through and add orbs in there. And I say messy, it's just that they were all going kind of the same direction. They were overlapping in a repetitive way, and I was trying to just break up that repetition. It's a good time for a deep breath. And if you haven't done so in a while, it's a good time to hold out your tile. We're so focused on walking this printemps swirl, but when you lean back and you look at this work from afar with some perspective, it's a really cool tangle in the round. And we haven't added our detail to it yet. So I have a little bit of left of my string over here, but I kind of like where this went over here. So I'm just going to ignore this string and take it out. I like that I'm a little bit off center and that this is open. I do like a little bit of white space for a breath when I tangle. Okay, so I'm going to come in now, and you have two options. You can come into the really tiny spaces and you can color them in, which I think would be a great thing to do if it's not big enough for an orb. I think these are good for coloring in. And if you have bigger areas, you can come in and do orbs. And I'll be honest, if I put the orbs in and I don't like them, I'll just blacken the whole thing in. When you're doing detail work like that, really critical to have a light pen grip. think I'll put a couple more. Oh, here's another one. I'll put a couple orbs on the outer edge also. I tend to like to do that. So I think I'll stop there. I'm going to grab my thicker pen and I'm going to come around and define some of these Pais shapes. And like I said, it does two things. It helps get me separation between my layers, and it cleans up some of my line edges that I might have not been very precise on. So you can decide how thick you want to go. I know I'm putting shading over some of these, especially in the center. So I don't need too thick of a line. You can see already on camera the definition just a simple black line makes. One of the most underrated techniques, if you even want to call it a technique, addition enhancement. One of those most underrated enhancements you can do on a tile is a simple black line to distinguish sections or layers from each other. I'm kind of good with that now. I can add a little bit here. Okay, remember you can go overboard with this. If you start to make everything too dark, you lose your brightness. So you really want to do this in stages when you can. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to grab my pencil, my regular Zentangle pencil. You can do this with whatever graphite you want. I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a sharpen. And I'm going to start in the center. So when I hold this out and I squint or I look at it, these top layers want to come up to the surface. So I'm going to put a shadow next to them. When I shade, I take the point of my pencil and I put it towards the darkest area that I want to shade, because that's the darkest, hardest area of a pencil point. I'm doing soft circles and I'm going around the area that I want to pop off the design. So when you put something really dark next to something light, it makes the side that's lighter look even brighter. So if you put opposites next to each other, they accentuate each other. I'm going all the way around here, and then I can put a little bit of shading in between my layers. You might not need to do that. So what I'm going to do is blend that out first and then see what the next thing is that I'll want to do. You can blend this with a tortillon or a paper stump, whatever you would like. I tend to like two-step shading. I do this step first to map out where my darks and lights are. Kind of a little tester. So you can see how that pops forward. And then I'm going to work my way around the spiral. So I'm going to put a little bit of graphite where these Pais layers overlap. Sometimes it might be at the bottom where the points come together. So notice I'm doing a little bit of shading where I think they overlap, and then I'm turning my tile, just like we tangled it. So the Pais shapes that are in the center are going to be dark, and they're getting covered up. So I'm going towards the center lightly, and I'm working my graphite more on the outer layers. And that's just for my tile. Your tile may require something different. We're starting to open up now as we come around that outside curve. So see where I'm putting the shading, where they overlap. I'm putting shading in that original spiral because that's where all the points of each Pais shape come together. It's almost like the base of the flower, if it was a flower. And I'm just working my way up. So every section that I come to, I'm making an independent shading choice. It's not one blanket rule. Then when I come out here, this all is going to fall behind. I think I'm going to stop there because I think it's starting to get a little dark once I smudge this. So I'm going to come back in and I'm going to smudge the areas that I've added graphite to. Same principle, smudge and turn. Okay, and then I'm going to evaluate it and see if I can do any more. So I'm liking the dimension I have towards the center. I think I can put a little bit more graphite out on the edges. I can do a little bit more graphite here. To identify some of the layers. And this is one of the things I think you can go over and over and make decisions and things like that. For a gentle tangling class, I'm actually okay with where this is right now. I did forget one area of base shading though. It's kind of standing out to me. This is a good time when you take a picture with your device, whatever your device is, and look at it through there. That's a great way to look at your tangling and see what things are popping out. Sometimes I hold it out and I squint, and that will give me a different viewpoint and things like that. If you wanted to, you can come in with white chalk. Now I'm on a white tile, so it may not do as much, but you can come in with white chalk and you can brighten up certain areas of your tile that you might want to just brighten. So because I have auras, I can get some brightness on my tile. It doesn't really show up on screen very well. But I'm able to brighten it a little bit. In person, it's showing up a lot more than it is. That angle's pretty cool. And then another thing you can do is you can take a darker graphite, a 2B pencil, a 4B pencil, a jet black, an extra black, a pit matte pencil, or even a black colored pencil. So I'm going to pull that for this one. I have a good point on it. And you can come into these dark corners. This is usually my second layer of shading. And I go right up against that pen line. I like to make the pen line disappear for the final layer of shading. I like that pen line to just melt right into the graphite. I don't like to see pen line and then graphite. So to help it, I come into these dark corners and I will add some extra dark something, whatever that something may be. It's usually graphite, but I don't like the sheen of graphite. So I'm working in other variations. Black color pencil is one of them. I'm loving the Pit matte pencils. But see the difference in the depth that you get by adding something really deep and dark. Now this is a very strategic addition. You don't want to come in and go, I'm going to hit every single corner with this black colored pencil. You can overdo it. You want this to be, I'm going to do a couple areas and then I'm going to hold it out and look at it. And a couple areas and I'm going to hold it out and do it and look at it. The other thing is that you might be tensing a little bit because you're covering up tangling. Yes, you do cover up tangling. It's just the nature of trying to get dimension. I do it minimally and strategically, and you can get this to really pop off the page. So every time I look up, I can see another corner that I want to just add some love to, as Maria says. And it just depends on how much definition you want to add, how much depth you want to add. But for me right now, I'm really loving where this went. Great exploration for a monotangle. Take a tangle and do a string from another tangle and see where it goes. That's exactly how this tangleation came about. I'm going to go ahead and put my chop on. Sign the back. And there is our Pais Tangleation. All right, take a nice good deep breath. Just shake out your fingers. Thank you so much for joining me for a little tangle session, and I hope we get to do it again real soon. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed that class and a little bit of tangle time for yourself and a good breath and a moment of gratitude. If you want a free class from me every month, all you have to do is join my email list. And I do a free full class every month that's usually about an hour and a half. You will also get access to a private web page that has all of the studio classes for that month and prior that you have full access to at any time, and that's a private web page, not public, that only the people on my email list get. And all I do is send a Monday email. It gives you updated class information about my upcoming retreat every year, new things that are coming out, interesting things happening in the studio. So every Monday you'll get an email with all of that information plus an affirmation to help you boost you through your week ahead. So check the link in the description here and also in the description of this class, and you'll be able to sign up on your own. You can unsubscribe anytime. If those needs don't fit you anymore, you can unsubscribe at any time. There's no obligation. I'd love to have you here for whatever time you have available, for whatever time in your creative and mindful journey. I'd love to have you here. So thanks for watching. Bye.